Hello there, welcome to Advanced Web Dev course by Code for You. In this course, you will learn basic version control with Git and GitHub, Bootstrap CSS, which is a CSS library, and the fundamentals of React. Before beginning, I recommend that you already know the basics of HTML, CSS, and most importantly, JavaScript. After all, React is a JavaScript library. My name is Abdul Samad, and I will be your guide through this course. Without further ado, I would like to go straight into the course. For a start, we are going to be starting with version control with Git and GitHub. When we talk about Git, according to Wikipedia, Git is a distributed version control system, tracking changes in any set of files usually used for coordinating work among programmers, collaboratively developing source code during software development. Basically, it's just for like managing from small, medium to like large scale projects. You can use it to keep your source codes and like stuff like that. So what Git actually do is like Git manages your repositories. Repositories are like stores for your code, helps you clone a remote project to work locally, controls and tracks changes with staging and committing. We'll actually go deeper into all this when we advance into the course. So it actually helps you to like branch, merge, and allow you to like work on different parts and versions of a project. Like they said, it's the distributed version control system, which actually helps you to like manage the versions of your software. And we will learn more about this as we go deeper into the course. So GitHub is actually very different from Git, and GitHub actually gives you like a visual interface for your repositories, helps you to like visualize your project and stuff like that. So to sign up for Git, we can actually go to git-scm.com/downloads to actually download for any operating system. As you can see, we have like the three basics operating systems there: the Mac OS, the Windows, and the Linux/Unix. So you can download for anyone. I already have it, so I won't be downloading it at all. But the installation is like quite straightforward. If I'm actually going to fast in this project, you can reduce the playback speed, and if I'm going to store, you can increase the playback speed. So after downloading Git, you can actually set up a GitHub account. I already have an account, and I'll be signing up later into my account. So without further ado, let me show you what Git is. So have Git on your system, when you have Git on your system, you actually use Git in the command line interface. That is in your Windows PowerShell or in your Windows command line or any terminal tool that you're actually using the system. So to actually check if Git has been installed on my system, I would like to check for the Git version. So with this command, I can actually check for whether Git is installed or not. So if I hit it, as you can see, I have Git version 2.37.3 and I have the version and the Windows version of Git installed on my system. Now to demonstrate how Git actually works, I would like to start up a new project in my terminal. So I would just like to make a new directory, Git tutorial, Git tutorial. So I would like to code Git tutorial. And this command actually just launches the Git tutorial folder in Microsoft VS Code. I'm just going to drag VS Code in and I'm going to expand it to like the full length. So now for now, this is like an empty project. I would just like to add a simple HTML page. So I have index.html here. And so for some reason this is quite slow today. Okay, I have my file already. So I can just type in HTML. So this is like an HTML5 template. You just type HTML. I have my title to be Git tutorials. And right here I'm just going to like have a simple div. And just write Git tutorials. Well, I would run this code, but that is not the purpose of this tutorial. We are actually learning version control here. So what I want to do here is to save my code to like a remote repository, that is a remote storage that is not on my local setup. And if I actually have it on this remote storage, any other person can actually access it and use it and maybe even update the code. And along the line, we are going to learn how this actually works. Oh, I think I made a mistake here. So this is supposed to be Git. So then I'm just going to open like my terminal here. Since I already have Git installed, one thing I can do here is to Git init. I can git init. That means I initialize an empty repository in this file. You can actually see like the empty git repository here, because on Windows there are actually some files that are hidden, and in Windows it's actually hidden. So you actually go into my settings and I actually make all hidden files visible. We are supposed to like see it around there. So after initializing this, what I like to do is to go into GitHub, So github.com, and since I already have like an account, I'm already signed in, it will take me straight to my um GitHub. So there's a little plus sign here. I can use it to like add new repository, import repository, new code paste and space. Well, this one is quite useful, but it is beyond the scope of this tutorial. So I'm just going to like create a new repository right now. I can give it any name I want, but I'm just going to keep up with Git tutorial. Git tutorial. As you can see, the name is available. So description, you can add description. As you can see, it is optional. You can make it public or private. If you make it public, then anyone on the internet can see this repository you choose to, and you choose who can commit actually. So if you make it private, you choose who can see and commit to this project. That is, if you only have people to the project that you can actually see, it will be a private project. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to be creating a public repository. You can initialize with a readme, but maybe I won't do that right now. And I'm readme, well, that's also beyond the scope of this tutorial. I'll just going to create like an empty repository here too. So what I want to do is copy this address right here. This is the address of my repository. In case I want to clone it, in case you want to clone it, this is the address you are going to use to clone the repository. So I can just like copy this link right here. So when I go back to my Visual Studio Code terminal, I can do a git remote add origin. What I'm doing is git remote, that is I'm trying to add a remote origin, that is an origin that is not on my local server, that is my personal computer, it is not on my PC. It is like um a remote repository, a remote repository that is being controlled by GitHub and by Git actually. So I'm trying to like add an origin, and the origin is actually this link here, which is GitHub. So like my remote repository is actually being handled by GitHub. Moreover, there are actually other softwares like GitHub, like the Bitbucket or the GitLab that you can use instead of the GitHub. But GitHub is like the most popular. So for this tutorial, we are going to be using the GitHub. So when I git remote add origin, I just have to like paste the link here, and this is the origin I'm trying to like add to this project. That is, whichever commit I make in this project, it will be going to this remote repository right here on GitHub. So well, and since there is no error, that means that was a success. I already have what's it called? So as you can see here, there is actually something in VS Code. So if you're using like the VS Code IDE, you should have something like this, which is the source control. As you can see, it is telling me that I have one pending changes. If I click on it, you can actually have this is like you can do a commit here and do everything here, but that is not what this course is about. This course is about actually teaching you how to use Git and GitHub with your command line. So here I can do a git add dot no, I can actually add the index.html. If I do a git add dot, it will actually add like every changes that I've made. But in this tutorial, I just want to add like one change at a time. Even though I only have one change, nevertheless, I'll try to add like only this change right now. So when I do a git add, oh, okay, well, when I do a git add, what this actually do is it takes this my index.html page, it puts it in a stage called the staging stage, and this staging stage is between like there's like a place where you keep changes that are ready to be committed. And when you talk about commit is just like pushing all changes to the remote repository, this remote repository right here. So we can actually do a git commit. A git commit is another command, and whenever you use a git commit, you need to add a message. So you need to add a dash "n", and I can just call it give this any message, maybe an initial commit. So I have a git commit with the message initial commit, and this has committed only one changes. We can't actually see it here yet, but the changes are already there. They are already committed. I made one file change, 12 insertions, and created the mode. Well, that is information are not really that important. So I can do a git push. Well, this git push is actually going to give me an error, and I'll tell you why in a bit. So as you can see, the current branch master has no upstream branch. That is, when we talk about branches, well, okay, we should see a branch editor. Let me just run this command and I'll explain what branches are and what this error actually means. Control V. So git push set upstream origin master. As you can see, it has pushed all my changes to the remote repository, and if I actually reload this repository right here, you should see I have my index.html, and I will actually drop the link to this repository in the description section. So when you actually reach this page, you can click here to see the code, and you can just copy this link. When you copy this link, I'll tell you how you're going to clone this repo at the end of this tutorial. So basically, what we've done here is just we've pushed our changes to GitHub. So we have our project remotely, and anybody can actually access it and clone it since it's a public project. So what this error was actually talking about is we did not have a branch yet. We don't have an upstream branch yet. But we have a branch, but we don't have we've not set an upstream branch in this repo yet. So if we do a git branch A, we will see the list of branches we have. We have only one branch, which is the master. And before we actually did the git push, we were not on this branch. We were not on any branch actually, and that is why we actually got this error. So subsequently, if you are going to do a git push, we will not need to set upstreams like we did like the git push set upstream origin master. We will not have to do that anymore. So basically, I think that's what we just need for now to actually make changes. If for example you actually have like maybe this repo has been updated or something, you can do a git pull to get like the latest changes from the repo if it has been changed. But since we don't have any changes, it will tell us that everything up to date. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to delete this thing from my local. I'm going to delete this project from my machine. Okay, it is being used. I'll just have to close it here first before I can delete it. Yeah, so now it is gone. So now that the project is gone, you might feel, oh, I don't have this project anymore. What if I want to update the code? What if I want to show off with the code? Like maybe show someone that, okay, I created an index.html page in so time, and this is the code. How do I actually show people? So if I actually need the project back, what I can do is I can come here, click on this code, copy um copy the link, the repository link, and I can open the terminal anywhere I want to actually clone the project. So I can do a git clone, and I just need to place the whatever repository I want to clone. So I can hit and enter. So it is cloning into Git tutorial. As you can see, it has generated the file again for me. And now I can do cd change directory to the Git tutorial, and I can code. As you can see, I have my index.html again. I can make new changes. I can decide to remove the tutorial. Oh, I don't like the tutorial and I want to add another file, which is the readme readme.md. This is the readme.md, and I can say, okay, this is a readme. This is a readme. So like I have no changes there now. I can do this. And I have two changes, and I don't really want to just do the git add one by one. Well, let me. So another command is the git status to check which project is in the staging area and which changes are not in the staging area. As you can see, I've made like two modifications and they are not in the staging area. So as you can see, changes not staged. Like right here, you can see changes not staged. Use git add the name of the file to update what will be committed, or use the git restore file to discard changes. That is, if I run a git restore, the name of the file, I will actually pull whatever is here. I will actually have to pull whatever is here, and it will override whatever changes I have made. That is not what I'm trying to do here. That is not what I'm trying to do here. So that's what basically what the git status will just do. Now let me try and just add. So when I use the git add dot, like I said earlier, when I use the git add, add dot, it will actually um update. It will actually like stage all the changes I have made. So when I add a git add dot and I do a git status again, we see that these two files are actually in green color instead of the red. They were red before, now they are green. That is, they are now in the staging area. They are just in between, like my local repository, which is the one I'm working on right now, and the remote repository. So the staging area is in between the two. And to move it from the staging area, I can commit all all changes that I've put in the staging area. I can commit them and just add a git comment. I can add any message, added a readme and changed index.html blah blah blah. So boom. Oh, okay, there was a mistake here. I'm not supposed to put a slash. Okay, so I've made like two changes now, and I've added two changes to my repository, so I can do a git push. As you can see, this the other time that we actually tried the git push, we actually had an error, but this time we won't have an error because we've already given it an upstream, which is the master branch. And as promised, I'm going to talk about the master branch right after this. So when we do a git push, okay, so now we've pushed to the master branch. Now as you can see, we have the readme file. And one special thing about GitHub is when you have a readme file, it will actually display it below the project. So you can actually leave instructions about the project in the readme file and stuff like that. So when you talk about branch, right now we have only one branch. We have only one branch, which is the master branch. You can actually create new branches, and the way this is helpful is for example, if we are like two, maybe I, Samad, and another developer are actually working on a single project, maybe this Git tutorial project, the other developer can actually create a branch and actually work on maybe the index.html file only on his own branch, and then on my own branch I can work on like the readme.md file only. So after committing the branch, we can actually send the pull request, and those are actually advanced stuff, and well, those are just like basic stuff you can actually learn on your own, which is just like a pull request and stuff. But if you actually want me to go over these things, you can just leave it in the comment section or just talk about it in the group, and I will most definitely make a video about pull request and everything that has to do with collaboration with Git and GitHub. Without further ado, I think we've covered enough to actually be comfortable with Git and GitHub. So I could just like, okay, so I'll just like make a recap of everything we've actually done. So we've actually talked about Git, which is like an open source software for version control, and we talked about how it is useful. Like Git manages the repositories, and yeah, as you can see here, if I go under my profile, dev samad, you will see repositories, and repositories are actually like projects I've already posted on my personal account. So it actually helps you manage repositories. It helps you to clone a remote project, and what they mean by that is I have still public projects here. If you go to my if you go to my page, you can go, this is like my personal portfolio site, so you can decide to clone it. It's open source. I can give you for free, even though I'll be changing the design and stuff like that. So you can just copy the link and do a git clone and actually clone this repository right here. And that is what that point is actually just trying to emphasize. It helps you to like clone a remote project to work locally, and it controls and track changes with staging. Staging is when you do the git add, and committing is when you do the git commit with the message, and it helps you to branch and merge. Branch and merge, well, these are actually some other advanced tools. If you want me to talk about it, you can definitely talk about it in the Google. Basically, for now, I think you are good with the basic introduction I've done right now. So you can change track changes, you can branch and merge and allow for work on different parts and version of a project. That is by creating branches. You can allow for like work on different parts. Like I can work on the index.html, and another developer can work on the um on the README basis HTML. So that's that about that. I hope you've learned something from this course, and subsequently we'll be learning React after this course. Thank you. Have a lovely day.